The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters radio show was originally broadcast on July 6, 2021.
Aloha and welcome to the Maui Chamber of Commerce Business Matters radio show, sponsored by Mokulele Airlines and Sherry Reeve Gallery and Gifts. I'm Pamela Timpop, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, and we're so glad to have you with us this Tuesday morning. We hope you all had a spectacular 4th of July weekend. And today we're going to talk about the COVID vaccine. Again, how important this is to better understand and make sure that we continue to work towards vaccination and herd immunity. We're going to hear from the new general manager of Queen Ka'ahumanu Center and hear what's happening there. And we're going to have a little bit of morning coffee with Mike from Maui Coffee Roasters. So today, though, I'd like to start with two amazing doctors from Minit Medical. They have been on the front lines through all of this. First, I'd like to welcome Dr. Michael Jackowitz and Dr. Errol Buntuyan. Dr. Michael Jackowitz works as an urgent care doctor at Minit Medical and currently serves as their COVID director. He has a long history of work in the medical field, including helping to pioneer non-invasive coronary angiography. In addition to his extensive medical practice, he has a robust career as a Tony Award-winning theater producer. We're going to learn more about that as well. And then we have Dr. Errol Buntuyan, and he is a family medicine physician leader for the Kaiser Permanente Maui Lani Clinic and is currently working on the Hawaii Permanente Medical Group's professional development team. He believes in balancing hard work with relaxation and enjoys going to the beach and traveling to off-island destinations, as we all do and hope to get back to. So aloha and good morning, Dr. Jackowitz and Dr. Buntuyan. How are you this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're so glad to
We're
have
up.
I hear you. I do. Haven't had my morning coffee, I'll tell you. So we're so glad to have you both with us. Tell me, what are you hearing from people on Maui who are hesitant to get their vaccine, and what are you saying to help change their minds?
So great. This is Dr. Jackowitz, and I would say by far the most common thing I hear is that vaccine's too new and it was developed too fast. And I hear that over and over and over again. And I feel like I understand why people feel that way. You know, in the beginning, the way that this was launched, there was a lot of just misinformation and unclear information, and I understand why people are confused about it. I really am. But there's a couple of things that I want to talk about that will help people really understand from a scientific point of view, right? This is not through the lens of a media camera. This is through the science. And the first thing is that it's too new. And so let's talk about that, right? So this technology is like a genius technology, and it's been in development for, over a decade, but it hasn't been quite ready for prime time yet. And it was close as we were developing, as we were going through the MERS outbreak, back in 2014. But the technology wasn't quite there yet. And what I want people to imagine is, think of a crown, right? So the coronavirus is a crown, right? It looks like a crown. It's shaped like a crown. And it's got these little 4 spikes on it. So if you could create a technology that targeted those spikes, and that's what this messenger RNA vaccine does. It tells the body to go in and create just those little spikes on the crown. And so there's no injection of virus. There's no injection of anything other than your body's own code to make these spike proteins. Then when they do, it makes antibodies, so that when you're exposed to the actual antigen, the actual coronavirus, it has already created a defense, and your system can destroy that virus. So it was very recently that these companies were able to create these mRNA technologies because they created a stable way to keep that spike protein from dissolving, essentially, right? So I don't want to get into the weeds of it, but just know that the technology has been in development for a decade, and it's a genius technology. It's the way that so many future vaccines will be done and created and utilized, but it wasn't quite ready until now. And now it's ready, and it's very exciting technology that we're going to be able to utilize. And the second thing is that it was too fast, right? So everybody heard Operation Warp Speed, and they got very confused about that. And I understand why that's confusing. But what actually matters is the phase 3 clinical trials. Like, you have to go through a lot of hoops to get to that stage where you typically will look at 40, 50,000 people to determine if it's safe and if it's effective, right? So what the government did is said, we're going to actually pay for the process to speed that up, and we're going to pay for the phase 3 clinical trials even before we have all the data yet, just in case that it is ready when it's released. They did 70,000 plus people, so it wasn't a small trial; it was a big phase 3 trial, and the results were spectacular. And that's why we were able to roll this out so quickly. But it wasn't a shortage, and it wasn't like we were shortchanging the procedure. You can't release a vaccine to the public without a robust phase 3 clinical trial, which this has had, and it has been wildly successful. So, those are the two big things. The other thing I do hear a little bit of is the privacy issue. And I usually say to people, well, do you have a cell phone? And if you have a cell phone, do you think it's coincidence that when you Google Chilean sea bass, within 5 minutes your Facebook feed is giving you ads for Chilean sea bass? It's like, it's not a coincidence. Like if you have a cell phone, that ship sail. Like, it's a marketing machine, and your information is out there on the web. So it's like, those are all three things that I think are real concerns to people and have officially been debunked.
Yeah, this is Dr. Buntuyan here. I hear those certainly about the safety and efficacy, but I also hear about folks that are worried about the side effects. And, I have a conversation with them that the side effects just last for 1 or 2 days at the most. And the worst that you would feel would be like a sore arm and maybe a little bit of a fever, muscle aches, but then it totally will resolve within 1 to 2 days, and for the majority. But when you think about the risk that's involved if you are not vaccinated, that's what I focus in on. I mean, right now, you could still have all those effects of COVID infection if you're unvaccinated, and that can lead to increased hospitalizations. I mean, being so sick that you're going to be having to go to the hospital because you're short of breath, and then with the chance also of getting intubated and not making it. So, I mean, for a period of a 1 to 2 day sacrifice versus the risk of going to the hospital, being debilitated, and losing your life, it's really quite a huge, vast difference in perspective from that. And so trying to just reiterate that to my patients whenever I hear about some hesitancy, just sharing with them the truth and, the facts, that Dr. Jackowitz had mentioned about its safety and efficacy is really important.
I absolutely agree. Dr. Buntuyan, let's continue with you. Can you tell us a little bit about the impacts of the Delta variant? And we're hearing about long-haul symptoms. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that. We've never really talked about it on this show, but we're learning more and more as this continues to go on about these long-haul symptoms. Yeah.
So first, the Delta variant. The Delta variant first came on the scene in India, and that swept through catastrophically and tragically through that country. The main reason why was because it is dubbed the fastest and the fittest of all these variants, meaning that it replicates faster than all the other variants. It's easier to catch, and it has led to more, we call morbidity and mortality, more sickness and death. In India, it was such an impact because the population is virtually vaccinated. So what we're worried about is the unvaccinated populations and pockets that we have here in the United States that will get this Delta variant, and it's inevitable that the Delta variant is going to be the predominant strain. Right now we have the California variant on Maui, but every 2 weeks it doubles and doubles and doubles, and it will be the predominant strain here. So we're really worried about the unvaccinated population getting it. So if you think about a virus in your mind, I'm a virus, and you're like, I just want to replicate and replicate and replicate. I just want to keep making more of myself to spread through everyone. So it's going to go through those folks that are unvaccinated naturally, right? They don't have the immunity. They don't have any defense system against a virus. And so they're going to go into those folks. And if those folks are surrounded by other folks that are unvaccinated, then that's going to perpetuate, and then that's going to spread it. What we're worried about this variant is that it will mutate into other variants. Right. So the more that they're unvaccinated, the more that that the virus can replicate, the more of a chance of it to mutate. And our biggest fear is that it will mutate into something that's going to make these vaccines irrelevant. So it's really a race. It's a race to get people vaccinated so that the virus will have nowhere to go. It will no longer be able to replicate and will no longer be able to form a mutation. Now, the long COVID, so if you imagine the symptoms that you get for COVID, cough, muscle aches, fever, shortness of breath, fatigue, headache, brain fog, all those things that can occur during an infection, for the most part, those last about 10 to 14 days, and a person recovers if they're healthy. Or if they have comorbidities, if we all know this, they're going to be at risk for being hospitalized or dying if they're unvaccinated. But what we're finding is anywhere about 25% of the population of folks that have gotten COVID, they have symptoms of those headache, fatigue, brain fog, cough. They can last longer than 10 days, sometimes months and months on end. And so that really is what is going to be affecting our healthcare system in the long run. We're starting to see that now, a year and a half out of this pandemic. Folks that are just chronically not feeling well, chronically sick, chronically going to the doctors and trying to try medicines and this and that to try to get better. And we have nothing for it. We really don't. And so not only is it important to avoid getting the infection of COVID in the first place, the best thing to prevent that from happening is by getting vaccinated. We know that this current variant, the Delta variant, and all the other variants, the vaccines are very, very, very highly effective against them right now. So this is the time to get vaccinated.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that because, we are trying really hard at the Chamber to continue to educate people on the vaccinations and help people feel more comfortable. When they're not comfortable, ask those questions, raise the questions so that they can get answers. And we're also working right now with Minit Medical to help get the vaccines to those remote locations, to those people who are unvaccinated, whether you haven't gone because you haven't had a chance to take off from work. We can bring them to your work and we can get them to remote areas. And even Hana, if we can get a group of people in Hana who are looking for vaccinations.
Yes.
A great program right now. Dr. Jackowitz, can you tell us a little bit more about why it's so important to work with the community, work with business owners to encourage their employees and the community to continue to get vaccinated?
Sure. Before I answer that, I just wanted to echo what Dr. Buntuyan said about the long haulers, because what they have found is there's really only one thing that helps reduce their symptoms, and you know what that is?
I'm going to guess it's the vaccine.
It's true. It's the vaccine. When they get the vaccine, within 24 hours, they feel better. They report feeling better. And we don't really have a great answer for why that is, other than like fooling the immune system. But I mean, when I heard that, I was just like, "Oh my God, that's amazing!" But yeah, so I think it's super important for the business community because, I mean, not to mention names, but I had a patient who was telling me that they work in the spa field and they're around people, close proximity all day long, and their manager told them not to get the vaccine. And I was just like floored by that. And I thought, how can somebody, say that to their employees? It's like you are around people at high risk. They are, people are in your face, literally, as an esthetician or a massage therapist. Yeah. And just the idea that a business owner would say that to them, I mean, it's inevitable that they're going to get this Delta variant. It's just inevitable. I don't see how they can avoid it long term. So it's just super irresponsible, and I hope that people in those positions of authority can really learn the science before they say comments like that.
Yeah.
It's just irresponsible to me.
And from a business owner's perspective, too, it's thinking that, hey, we are still doing contact tracing. We are still recommending shutting down these businesses for 10 days should an infection of positivity go through an entire business. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. Let's not rest our laurels on that. If a person starts to get symptoms, you're going to get tested in one of your employees, and your whole staff can become just rendered just quarantined, and your business is going to shut down. So, I mean, you really have to think about that. Is like, well, what's at stake? Well, my business is at stake. How am I going to get employees to come in if they're quarantined? Right. Or if they're sick, even worse, right? Sick or dying in the hospital. And it's worrisome, too, that, I've been hearing, not just in the spa industry, but, there's some hesitance around in these big hotels where they have, a lot of, staff there, just thinking that if an infection went through, let's just say the engineering staff or the cleaning staff, I mean, it's or the food and beverage staff, I mean, it's a huge impact on these businesses.
Absolutely. Well, that takes me to another question that I'd like you gentlemen to answer. Most of course, I'm with the Chamber of Commerce, so I'm talking to business owners all day long, every day.
Thank you for that.
and most business owners, are really encouraging their employees.
Good.
Right? They're wanting to protect their employees first, and of course their guests as well. But they're really trying to take care of that community in their workspace. Yet we're finding, of course, that there are some people who really just don't believe in the vaccine for their personal reasons, or they're afraid. Still, I think to hear today, this is the first time that's come up on our show, so to hear today that even if you get it, guess what? The first thing they're going to do is give you the vaccine to help you feel better. That's kind of new information, so that's kind of interesting to hear. But, they're finding some resistance in certain pockets within their employee base. And sometimes it might just be one person, but again, it's that one person. So what, I know it's kind of controversial, but what are your opinions on whether industry should mandate that employees get vaccinated? Can you comment on that?
Yes. I am, look, when I went into medicine, when we go into medicine, it's just do no harm, do what's best, do what's safest for people. And I certainly believe that in order to protect just our population, just to protect just Maui, our loved ones, those folks, kids that are not yet able, are kiki, to get the vaccine, it's in our best interest, like to certainly get as many people vaccinated. And if that takes the making it mandatory for businesses to do so, I think it's really, really important.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I would echo that. I knew that Dr. Buntuyan would be more eloquent than I on this, but I feel like it depends. If you're in a certain industry, and you choose to be in that industry, you have to get vaccinated. We had talked about theater a little bit in the beginning when you introduced me, and I'm in the theater world, and if you want to be in that show, you want to be in a show, you have to be vaccinated. If you want to work on a show, you have to be vaccinated. There's no discussions about that. Like that's it. You opt in, you opt out, and if you opt in that career path, you have to be vaccinated. So I feel strongly that if you're in healthcare, for instance, there's no excuse, right? You just cannot not be vaccinated. You just can't. And if you're in close proximity with people who are unvaccinated on an ongoing basis, that just will destroy the business. So, I feel pretty strongly that you should.
Yeah, and you made me remember about Tom Cruise. We saw a big episode about Tom Cruise and his production.
Oh, yes. Exactly.
Suddenly I was reminded of not jumping off the couch
Pamela,
with Oprah.
Pamela, can I just say one final thing here?
Yes, please.
If you look around the world right now, people are still dying.
Yes.
COVID.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like done and dusted. We nailed this thing.
Right.
People are still dying all over the world, and the people that are dying all have one thing in common.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They are not vaccinated, right? It's like this is the ticket out of the hell that we've been in for the last year, right? This is the way out. And I understand the controversy and I understand the confusion, but the science has now kind of landed, and we know that this is not controversial anymore. Like this is the way out, and we should really encourage people to just take the ticket out so we can resume our lives and we can resume the world as we knew it.
Right, and it's so true. Like the pockets of the country and cities that are above their 70% vaccination rates, you wouldn't even think that that COVID was there anymore, right? So for example, like San Francisco, where it's above 70% and even higher all the time. I mean, just recently, and so it just seems like when you go there, my friends live there. I was actually there just last week. There's no mass anywhere. There's crowds. There's unfortunately lines, but it really looks like everything went back to normal.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And we strive to get there. Boy, I have to tell you, Dr. Michael Jackowitz and Dr. Errol Buntuyan, thank you so much for being with us today. For all the businesses listening, Minit Medical is doing a special offer now through the end of July where they will bring the vaccine clinic to your business.
Awesome.
For an easy and convenient way to get your employees vaccinated. They have all 3 vaccines. They can't bring them all on the same day because, again, we can't open every vial where you have to. There's a shelf life to these. We have to do it carefully, but you can let them know what you're interested in. Tell them how many people you've got. It doesn't have to just be your employees. It can be their spouses, their friends, colleagues, and business associates you work with. So for more information, email vaccine, VACCINE at minitmed, MINITMED.com. Or you can also call us at the Maui Chamber of Commerce. Thank you both for joining us this morning. It's been a great pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, Pamela.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It was fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Have a beautiful Maui day.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. Aloha. Okay, we're going to be right back after we hear word from our sponsor, Mokulele Airlines. Mokulele Airlines operates the largest commuter airline hub in the country, right here in Kahului. Fly Mokulele from Kahului to Molokai, Lanai, Hana, Waimea, Kona, and now Hilo. Mokulele also operates the only flights between Kapalua and Honolulu. There is never a middle seat on Mokulele, and every seat has a window and aisle. Visit mokuleleairlines.com and take your next flight from the newly renovated Mokulele Terminal. Aloha and good morning. We are back. And I'm so excited to get to share a little bit about a friend of mine who I've known for a number of years, Kauwela Bisquera, who is the new general manager of Queen Ka'ahumanu Center. Previously, she worked as the specialty leasing manager at QKC, as we fondly call Queen Kahumanu Shopping Center. And prior to going to QKC, Kauwela was the regional director for the American Heart Association on Maui, overseeing programming and fund development on Maui, Big Island, and Kauai. Kauwela has extensive experience in the real estate industry, also as a realtor and property manager. Aloha and good morning, Kauwela.
Hi, good morning, Pam. How are you this morning?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, it's our pleasure. We are so excited to hear about your new position as general manager. And I understand you also have a new leasing manager. So tell us what's happening at QKC.
Thank you, Pam. Yes, very excited for this opportunity to move up at Queen Kahumanu Center. I mean, we all know that Queen Kahumanu Center is like our community hub. And so I'm just very honored that they felt that I was a great person to lead it into this new era of community shopping and retail. With me being general manager, of course, we had to find someone to take over the specialty leasing manager and program. And we've now switched over from specialty leasing to local leasing. And so Russell Wilkie is our new local leasing manager. Russell comes from an extensive array of career in sales and networking and building relationships. And so we're super excited to have him on board. Local leasing, the reason for the switch of specialty leasing to local leasing is because we're going to 100% focus on local entrepreneurs and vendors and crafters and businesses and give them, and hopefully partner with them and give them the opportunity to come and see what brick and mortar looks like, and Russell is the best person we have on board for that.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm so glad to hear about the switch. There's a mall on the Big Island that it's a little mall. It's smaller than QKC, but every time I'm there, I realize that it's always filled, and it's always filled because they focus on local. So I'm so glad to hear that you folks have changed that and are working with local companies. And you recently had an event called Start with a Cart. Tell us about what that was and who the lucky winner was.
Well, first of all, we're super excited. We get to have events again, so we were very excited to be able to roll this new program and event out in fun competition for our local businesses and entrepreneurs. Start with a Cart was an idea that came from Pacific Retail Capital Partners, or we call PRCP for short. It's a program that they rolled out on the mainland that was very successful. When they became the managing company of Queen Kahumanu Center, they pitched it over to us. We thought it would be a fabulous idea to work with and to give an opportunity to our local businesses. So basically we'd have businesses compete for 3 months of free cart space or RMU space or kiosks, as some people know it as. And we were absolutely honored and fortunate to have 7 wonderful vendors participating. And one of our local vendors, businesses, Mise Kimono, which is, it's a Japanese, their story is so awesome that it's based off of their grandmother from Japan, and all their designs come from her inspirations, and they put it into today's fashion accessories like clutches and headbands and everything fashion accessory-wise. Awesome. So we're very lucky with over 800 votes via text, and our 3 distinguished judges, Mise Kimono won Start with the Cart, our very first annual Start with the Cart. So we're very excited for that. We are still meeting with Mise Kimono. Shannon Liu is the owner, along with his sister. We're still meeting with them, discussing when's the best time for them to start rolling out, but we're super excited to have them at Queen Kahumanu Center.
How early do you think we're going to get to see them?
Well, it's obviously they all thought they weren't going to win. They all hoped they're going to win, but there's some things they have to put into place. Like, the first thing he said, "Oh my God, I have to get a worker."
Oh yes,
it's been him and his sister just doing it online or doing small craft fairs on both Maui and Oahu, and so now they're like, "Okay, wait, we have to get a worker," and so it's gonna take a little bit of time, maybe a couple of months, but we hope to see them soon, and we're going to help them along the entire way to make sure they're successful.
And tell us now about the mall hours. What are the current mall? Throughout COVID, things were constantly changing.
Yeah.
So tell us, what are the mall hours these days?
Well, we're very excited that traffic has picked up. We're super happy to see our community back out and shopping and coming to the shopping center. Our movie theaters are running 7 days a week. So
nice.
We are back to normal hours, which is 10 to 8 Monday through Thursday, 10 to 9 Friday and Saturday, and then Sundays 10 to 5. But because of how unemployment is right now, we are giving our retailers, our stores, some time to make sure that they can, get their employees back or their schedule back and have enough coverage. So we do encourage people to still check throughout the month of July on, individual stores to see what their hours are, because we are giving them some time to get their schedules back up. But officially, the mall is back to normal hours, and come August, everyone will be on our I'm back to normal hours. We're
awesome.
super excited for that.
Well, it's wonderful that, I know commercial leasing is a different animal from what most people are used to. But, it's, of course, you're trying to manage expectations of the general public and let them know these are the certain hours. But I'm really glad with the flexibility, I know you're well aware. I mean, businesses are really struggling as the crowds have returned, if people have opened up, as we've been able to accommodate more. It's been so hard to get employees back, So it's
right.
wonderful
And
that you're working with them.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we want to be fair to everybody. We live in the community. We know what's going on, so it's only fair that we work with everybody and understand the struggles.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now you're the general manager. There's another new management company layer between yourself and the owners. So lots of new energy and excitement. Tell us about some of the new things going on at the mall.
Well, we're very excited to have Pacific Retail Capital Partners, managing Queen Carmona Center. They did manage us about 5 years ago. That was before I got there, but they specialize in shopping center management. So I think the opportunity to be a general manager under their management is extremely lucky for myself, and I'm just honored to have that, because I get to learn a lot from them. But we're super excited. There's a lot of things happening at the shopping center. We're excited to bring back events. We're working on bringing back marketing, of course, in a safe and healthy way. And, of course, we're going to cover all COVID regulations that are still in place, but at least we have some breathing room to bring events back to the mall, bring some live music back to the shopping center. Nice. We have Russell is working on a couple new tenants that will be opening right before back to school starts in August. And of course, we're already getting ready for the holidays. So we're really excited to kind of be back to somewhat of a norm. And what we're really just, proud of is our community of, supporting us throughout this whole time and supporting our businesses and the stores that are in the shopping center. Everybody has seen that there was quite a few of the bigger national brands that didn't quite make it, through COVID, but I am happy to see and proud to see that our local tenants, our mom and pops, was able to last through COVID and stay. And I think that's a lot part to, us, seeing their struggles and working with them and negotiating with them on rents, but also our community supporting them, coming on and still shopping for them. And so we're just very excited to be back to somewhat of a norm, and I can't wait to have the whole community back at the shopping center for our events and shopping, and our retailers too. They're just excited. They're like, they had to start with the cart. We had live music throughout the whole day, and they're like, "Are we doing this again?" I'm like, "It's coming. We're getting back there." So we're super excited.
Well, we are too. Thank goodness. We really are too. We've wanted to get out and shop where you saw more and more people move to online, but it's not the same. You don't get to touch and feel things. You don't get to try on the clothes. It's you don't want to keep buying things and then sending some things back. And yet, online helped many of our retailers. It was a great pivot for them during these times. It's now a great adjunct for their business. But there is always that place still for brick and mortar where people can shop and get to connect with those people directly in the stores, learn more about the products and services. So, we're excited to see the crowds building up. So as you're doing this now, you're getting ready for the holidays. I don't know if you're ready to leak any special plans, or could you tell us kind of how things went on 4th of July?
Well, 4th of July is kind of a quiet time, actually, for the shopping center. A lot of people are out with their families barbecuing.
Yeah.
They're at the beach. And so it's not really a very busy weekend for us. But we are excited. We have a couple new tenants that will be coming in that we'll announce as soon as it's prudent to announce.
I hear you.
Yeah, and we are excited for the holidays. Nothing I can leak now. Hawaii, we don't want to botch anything. So, so we'll keep it on the wraps until we have everything, secured and fully excited for everything.
Is there any of the bigger stores that you can share with us that are no longer there, that people might not be aware of?
Well, I think the 3 biggest was Walking Company, PacSun, and Journeys.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't survive COVID in Hawaii.
Yeah.
In the Hawaii market, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because we saw that even in big restaurant chains and things, we saw a lot of those national chains just didn't make it through this time. But it's so awesome that you were able to shore up and help so many survive and are really moving to this local leasing. I think that's going to be such a winning ticket. And you also mentioned the movie theaters are back open and they're running 7 days a week. So,
yes.
So how are the crowds going in the movie theaters, and are they still having to social distance at this point and limit their capacity? How's that working?
Yes. So we're super excited for the theaters to be 7 days. They did open. They have been open for quite a few months now, but they were just doing the weekends as crowds were starting to feel a little bit more comfortable coming to the movie theaters. Yes. So they're still within state guidelines of 50% occupancy. So there is still social distancing between groups. I think it's a group of 10 now is the new state regulations. You can have a group of 10 indoors. So if you have a group of 10, you can sit all together, and then there's going to be a social distance for the next group. So that kind of thing. It's starting to pick up, with summer blockbusters coming out, that we are starting to see a little bit more traffic at the theater. Our food concessions are fully open. AC's working great. We're just super excited to see people coming back. And we're super excited for the theater to be able to open 7 days a week.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the AC because it seems so obvious, but it's been really hot lately.
It's a hot summer, Pat.
It is a hot summer, so folks, and I'm sure the theaters are going to be just over the moon to see you because they've had such a struggle going through this pandemic. But, don't forget to go to the theaters. And I'm so glad you mentioned it because for so long we've talked about it. But it didn't even, I just haven't been paying attention to the fact that they're reopened now. So, that is such a great treat, especially this summer as it just continues to get hotter and hotter. So such an awesome
come on in, get some cool air at the theater.
Cool air, great refreshments, favorite blockbuster movies. Can't wait to see. So we'll have to all look online now this week and look and plan our weekend getaway to the mall and to go see something special. Kauwela, it's been such a great pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people get more information?
Please, everyone can visit our website, queenkahumanacenter.com. Our events are up there. Our hours are up there. It's constantly updated. So for any more information, they can go to queenkahumanacenter.com.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Kauwela. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you. Aloha. This show is sponsored by Sherry Reeve Gallery and Gifts. If you haven't seen Sherry's amazing gallery, excuse me, in Makawao Town, you definitely should go. She has phenomenal products that are bright and beautiful, art and gifts for every occasion. Visit her in her gallery in historic Makawao Town. So now, if you're just tuning in, this is the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters radio show, sponsored by Mokulele Airlines and Sherry Reeve Gallery and Gifts. And this morning, it's my pleasure to welcome Michael Okazaki of Maui Coffee Roasters. Mike is a lifelong resident of Maui and currently resides in Wailuku. He's married to Carol Ann Guy, and they have a beautiful daughter, Abby. He is a 1966 graduate of Baldwin High School. Ooh, Michael, didn't know that. I'm a grad of Baldwin High School. And enjoys playing golf. Good morning, Michael. Aloha.
Good morning.
So glad to have you on this morning. As I'm sitting here, oh, it's our pleasure. I can like smell the coffee at Maui Coffee Roasters. I'm just dreaming that I'm actually sitting there for this moment. So, tell us a little bit about, the company for those who don't know about Maui Coffee Roasters, and tell us about some of the amazing things that you've been doing.
Well, the retail store opened in 1991, and that's when I first got connected with Nick. I was actually working for a different company, but Nick needed some help on the financial end. And that's where my association with Nick started. And it was, and over time, it kind of expanded to include different functions in operating the business. Started off handling more the financial end, and as time progressed, it kind of expanded to overseeing the operations for both the retail and the wholesale operations, including some of the HR issues that arise.
Yeah.
And, if one of the things that I really enjoy about working with Nick at Maui Coffee Roasters is that we've always operated the business as like a small family. All the employees were part of the family, and we kind of just had a lifestyle that we enjoyed, and that's what kind of was the focus on how we ran the business.
Yeah. You really have always had such a remarkable team. And it's interesting to hear you say that, because not knowing that until just now, if I think of my experience going to Maui Coffee Roasters and seeing how your team interacts with each other, that makes perfect sense. That everybody's part of the family, that they all operate together and they're working towards a common goal. I mean, it is always a very well-run, very personable crew there that gets to know people, and it just feels like home when you're in there.
Yeah, and that's the feeling that we wanted to have, and I think all the employees appreciate that. They appreciate being welcomed and appreciated for all the efforts that they put into running the business.
Yeah, that's really important. So tell us how you folks fared during the pandemic. You've got such a great local audience. Tell us a little bit about how that was for you.
It was touch and go. There are times that I got up in the morning and I said, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
It's just a daily struggle, without an end in sight.
Right.
But I think that we did everything that we could. We got the PPP loans, which helped tremendously.
Yeah.
We got the SBA disaster loans, and we kind of reduced operations as much as we could, and still provide a great service. But, I think it was a combination of all that. And again, I think the employees all recognized that, and they were all willing to do whatever they had to do, to continue the business.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really appreciated, because there are times, I swear, there are times that I just looked at it and said, I don't know if it's worth it.
It's not a funny thing. I mean, I laugh only because it was so common and it was so hard. People were really struggling, and especially, as you point out, when you have this family environment and you're having to lay people off. I think sometimes people just really don't realize what business owners and the managers go through as they're being forced just by circumstance to make these decisions that they never dreamed they'd ever have to make, and have to make these tough, very difficult calls that they know are greatly going to impact the lives of their employees, their family members. That they're so close to. Yeah, it's just gut wrenching, and yet I appreciate your candor, because those are the things. And there were so many days that in the beginning, especially, but it tapered on for a number of months as we kept hoping that we'd reopen, and then we couldn't, and again going back and forth for those number of months, where we spent a lot of time just counseling people because of the horrific decisions they were having to make and the stress on their life, and really questioning, as you point out. You got up some days and said, is this really something I even want to do? It was really tough. So now, as we're reopening again and we've got more capacity, how are things bouncing back? And were you able to bring back all your employees, or how's it going today?
Today, it's business is back. It's like the pandemic never happened. The volume of business is there. Now we have the opposite problem of trying to find enough staff.
Yeah.
And it's like for every business, they're just struggling to find employees.
Right.
We've gone through the whole cycle. We've got and I'm just using this as an example. We may have 10 applicants for the job, but does anybody respond when we reach out to them?
Right.
Maybe 2. And out of the 2, maybe 1 will show up for the interview. That was, and it's a challenge for every business, but that was what that was our experience. And I understand that. And if I was on unemployment collecting all the benefits, I would think twice about going back to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
go ahead.
We do have plans. We have plans on at some future point whenever we can get our staffing back up to reopen on Sundays, and also to extend our operating hours.
Uh-huh.
But that's all contingent upon the availability of staffing.
Yeah. And you folks were online too. Did you go further into online during this time?
During the pandemic, the online business really took off. There was a tremendous increase, and we appreciate that, because it kind of helped with the cash flow.
Yeah.
It kept the presence out there. Since the economy is reopening. Since then, the online business has still been steady.
Nice.
And we're now refocusing more on the in-store and the existing businesses that we service during the wholesale side.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about that, because you have the retail store and you've got, of course, the fabulous coffee shop, but you also do a lot of wholesale.
That we do. We have it's 2 separate operations, but they're both related. And, we go from anywhere from 2-ounce bags of coffee up to 5 pounds. And you can have it ground however you wish, and we do different roasts, different blends, but we also have the 100% Hawaiian coffees. which is the most popular. Actually, I take that back. Our most popular coffees are our Maui blend and our espresso. Those are our two most popular for the wholesale side. And we do provide equipment, anywhere from brewing equipment to espresso machines and anything that you need in between, So we're kind of a full service. We service everything that we sell. And, we do weekly deliveries throughout Maui. And that's pretty much it. For the retail side, we have the whole array of fresh roasted coffee and coffee-related merchandise. But we also have the cafe side that you can get your espresso drinks, or just a regular cup of coffee, or if you want, we have the fresh pastries, or a sandwich, salad, or bagels. Bagels are one of our biggest movers.
I was going to say, I love your bagels, yeah. Love the bagels. What are your current hours, Michael? Because you mentioned you're still closed on Sunday, and you hope to bring that back. So what are the current hours for you folks now?
Right now, we're open from 7 to 5, Monday to Friday. This Saturday, we're from 8 to 5.
Okay.
And again, as I mentioned, if we have the staffing, then we're looking to extend our closing to 6. And we're looking at different things, maybe opening a little earlier or maybe opening later than 6.
Okay.
But it's something. And Sundays has always been kind of like a mellow day, but it was I think something that our regular customers look forward to, and we're hoping to reinstitute that. But again, finding the staffing to actually do it will kind of dictate when and where we do it.
I hear that. All right. Well, we're going to have to go, but I want to tell everybody, you heard the call. Maui Coffee Roasters is looking for folks. So if you're interested in a job with an amazing team that treats you like family, stop by Maui Coffee Roasters right off Hana Highway. Michael, we're so glad to have you with us this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Pam, for having me.
You bet. We'll do it again soon.
Okay.
Take care. That's all the time we have this morning for Business Matters, brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce and sponsored by Mokulele Airlines and Sherry Reeve Gallery and Gifts. I'm Pamela Timpot, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, wishing you blessings and best wishes for a beautiful Maui day. If you're a business on Maui, call us at the Maui Chamber of Commerce and join our team. Aloha.